Hi, gang. This is Mean Gene Okerlund from World Wrestling Entertainment, reminding you you're where it's at with the interactive interview right here online.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Welcome back to the interactive interview here on WrestlingEpicenter.com as we are being joined by one of my favorites from growing up, the one and only Doctor of Style, Slickster. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
It's great to have you on the program. And, we've been doing this thing about 6 years, and somehow you managed to interview almost all my favorites, and you've never been one of them. So I'm so glad that you got on this show this time.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Alrighty. Well, I think the most important question, or the most common question we get asked whenever you your name comes up on our forums is, what's the Slickster up to these days? So what is Slick up to these days?
Well, since I've been out of professional wrestling, I've concentrated on my ministry. As you know, in my real life, that's what my calling is in life, and I entered into the ministry many years ago. As a matter of fact, throughout my career, I was in the ministry and actually pastoring a church in Fort Worth, Texas. A lot of people didn't know that.
While you were involved with professional wrestling?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
Really? See, I didn't even know that.
Yes,
So
now they incorporated that into your character right around the end of your WWF run when you managed Kamala. Was that your idea, or was that Vince's idea? How did that come about?
Well, I guess it was Vince's idea. They came to my church. We had a show in Fort Worth, a TV taping in Fort Worth, and they had an interest in coming to my church, and so Vince and several of the WWF dignitaries came and sat in on one of my services, and so after that, that's when came up with the idea to do the Reverend.
Now, that was drastically different from what we were used to from the Doctor of Style Slick. Was that more enjoyable for you to play, that more lovable babyface character, or did you like going out there and just getting everything off your chest and being the bad guy?
Well, I was probably better at being the bad guy.
Now, is that a change for you, though, in life? Obviously, being a reverend, you're so used to, being nice to everybody and being the religious person. Is it different to go out there and, in kids' faces when their favorite wrestler just got beaten, turn out the lights, the party's over, and things like that? Was it fun for you to, distance yourself from what you usually do?
Well, you have to understand that that was...
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't difficult for me at all. I was playing a part.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing a role. My name isn't Slick. I wasn't born. My parents named me Slick. So that was the character, and I never confused the two. In my real life and what I did in my real life, that just involved me as a person. And what I did as a member of the World Wrestling Federation was my job.
Mm-hmm. Now, you made a return to wrestling briefly, very briefly, just kind of like a cameo appearance back at WrestleMania 23. How did that come about?
Well, as you know, WrestleMania 3 drew the largest indoor crowd for a sports event in the country, a record at that time, and may yet be a record, I don't know.
I believe it still holds the record, the indoor attendance record.
Right. And so WrestleMania 23 was the 20-year anniversary of that. So many of us that played a part in a role in making that, setting that record, they invited us back just to do those cameo appearances.
And I take it, how did you like being back on the wrestling scene just for that one night?
Oh, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, it was just great to see a lot of guys I hadn't seen in a long time. IRS was there, and I hadn't seen him in 15 or 16 years. And, people that I had worked with for so many years, it was just great to see them.
Now, it is a drastically different product than when you were Slick in the WWE, or WWF as it were. What do you think of the drastic change of wrestling from the kind of family-friendly good guy versus bad guy to maybe a more risque, questionable content show that it is these days?
I don't think it's that drastic. It's still all just showbiz, man.
So you don't think it's changed much, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, all righty. Well, one of my favorite theme songs of all time, and this has to be something you get a lot when you walk down the street, is the Slick theme song. And, I mean, that thing was huge. I mean, people really loved it. It, to this day, is one of the most requested things on the WWE's website. Now, who wrote that theme song, and did you ever think that you would be singing a song quite as out there as that one?
You know, if I tell you the truth, you wouldn't believe it. I don't know who wrote it. Yeah, I'm honest about it. I don't know who wrote it. All I know is they called me in, they gave it to me, they told me to learn it, and we went in the studio and recorded it, and we went out in Stamford, Connecticut, and did a video on it, and that's really all I know.
Now, that video gets a lot of talk these days. Everybody says, oh, Vince is racist, this is that, and I don't know that I believe that, but, starting out in the KFC with the fried chicken and things, kind of people were a little bit like, oh, I don't know what they're going for here. At any point in your wrestling career, did you think that maybe they were kind of putting backhanded racism in there?
No. I think that Vince pretty much is like most people. They don't know anything about African-American people, and they believe what they see on TV. They really haven't had an opportunity to have African-American friends or to have African-American fellowships. So that's pretty stereotypical. They just believe what they see on TV. So it's a mindset. I don't think there's anything done malicious or anything like that.
Now, you were pretty much the first African-American manager in the WWE, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you've already said that the Dr. Style Slick was a character that you played, and I was just wondering, where did the character come from? Was it your idea, or who came up with the idea to give you this over-the-top, very entertaining character?
Well, I created the character. Colonel Buck Robley created the name.
Cool.
When I first started in wrestling, I was going by another name, Silky Slim.
Silky Slim.
And so they didn't like that, and Buck Robley gave me the name Slick. And my father, who was the legendary Rufus R. Jones, I discussed it with him, and he liked it pretty much, so we just went with it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, a lot of people don't realize that you really came up through the territories. I mean, we obviously are talking about the WWF because that's the most visible, but you came up through the territories and made it to the WWF. And do you think that the experience of being on a more territorial basis helped you when you made it to the WWF grand scale?
Oh, exactly. I think the people that pay their dues and come up through the ropes and really learn the ins and outs of the business, I think they fare much better.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that might be missing from the business these days?
Well, I don't think it'll hurt these days because there's a different appeal these days. It's really more just entertainment in this day and time. So some of the things that we needed to know about the ins and outs of the business, it's not really important to the younger guys because it's just all showmanship, man, showbiz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, you think when you watch, do you even watch the shows anymore, or try to catch it anymore?
Very, very rarely. Very rarely. I don't, like right now, I couldn't tell you what's going on because I just very rarely watch it,
Now, your position of the manager seems to be something that they kind of got away from and still don't really do much with it. For a while there, they were doing it mostly with girls, and now they kind of just don't even do it at all. Now, what do you think of the way that managers are no longer involved, and do you think that they could still, in this frame of wrestling, fit in?
Yes, well, I believe wholeheartedly that the managers would be a great asset to the business now because it creates so much excitement and then drama, the role that the managers play. But I think the reason they don't do it now is because they went to the thing with the girls, and they thought that the girls, well, how should I say it, beauty,
yeah,
would increase the gate attendances, and so they kind of put it. But I think if they would add the manager back, even with the girls, it would really be a great asset.
I'd be inclined to agree with that. Now, when you watch, Patrick, you want to take the next one real quick? I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place.
Okay. Woo.
Alrighty.
Right now, I just have a few word associations for you. Basically, I'm just going to list a few names of people that you worked with throughout your wrestling career, and you can just give a one-word answer. You can tell a story about them. Just give your honest opinion of the people when I say their name, all right?
Okay.
Okay, first name I have on the list is the Natural, Butch Reed.
My brother, my friend, he helped me get into the business. He helped me learn the business. Just a phenomenal guy. We just like even today.
Okay. Sid Vicious, or Lord Humongous, as you knew him when you managed him.
Okay, you know, when I managed Sid Vicious, it was back in the early 80s when we were in the Southwest Territory with Scott Casey and so many of the guys from Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard, you know, so many of those guys from that era. And Sid was just coming in, and I was just coming in, and we were both green. But you know, we drew a lot of money and did a lot of good things back there.
One of my favorite tag teams from the early 90s in the WWF, Power and Glory, Paul Roma and Hercules.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, two great performers, you know, and I've not seen Paul Roma now in about 15 or 16 years, and as you know, Ray passed away.
Yeah, we heard about that.
But they were an awesome tag team, and they were just that Power and Glory, you know, very good team.
You'll be glad to know that we actually interviewed Paul Roma probably, what was it, Patrick, probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And he actually enjoyed having him as a manager. He never had a manager before at that scale, and he said that he actually enjoyed somebody out there, you know, helping them get heat.
Yeah, well, Paul and I were good friends. We were good friends at work and good friends when we weren't at work, you know, traveling abroad. And Paul's a great guy, and I'm very sorry that I lost touch with him throughout the years. You know, the business has a way of doing that. You have people that you meet and you have great relationships with for years. Mm-hmm. And then when your career is over, you know, you just kind of go your separate ways, you know.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of like an off-the-cuff comment. Would you want me to, I have somewhat email communication with Paul Roma. Would you like me to pass along your number to him?
Well, yeah, that'd be nice. I appreciate it.
Sure, I'll do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And,
next name?
Go ahead, Pat.
Okay, next name I have on the list is the Warlord.
The Warlord, Kerry, that's my friend. I just saw Kerry, this one of us, I just saw Kerry about, maybe 6 months ago, at that fiasco in, Frisco.
You were there, huh?
Yeah.
What did you think of how that thing turned out?
Well, if you don't have something good to say about people, you probably shouldn't say anything. And so that promoter, you know, quite naturally skipping out on us and not paying us, and I probably wouldn't have anything good to say. So,
but let me ask you,
I'd better reserve comment.
There was a rumor, and maybe you can prove or deny it. I could see it happening, but it's so cartoonish that I don't know if it actually happened. There was a rumor that Roddy Piper actually found the guy who put that show on and dragged him by the ear to the bank to get his money. Do you think there's any truth to that, or is that BS?
I hadn't heard it.
Oh, okay.
That was my first time hearing of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I was there and I saw Roddy, and I don't believe that happened. But,
that's a shame.
Quite possibly it could have, but I don't believe that it happened.
Oh, well.
And I don't know that Roddy would have carried it to that extent, because he's a class act guy, and you know we try not to handle things like that. You know, with violence. You know.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next name I have for you is another tag team you managed, the Twin Towers, Big Boss Man and the One Man Gang.
Well, now the One Man Gang, I'm sure you probably have heard it. It's known. Widely known that the One Man Gang and I were the best of friends.
Really?
Yeah, and throughout our entire career together in the WWF, we pretty much were was sidekicks, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him as a performer and as an individual. You just won't find a greater guy, a classier guy, and any more of a gentleman anywhere than the one-man gang.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Big Boss Men, believe it or not, we actually never got along too well.
Really?
Yeah, but we made a lot of money together, and money has a way of bringing people together.
Yeah.
The Big Boss Man was actually a lot like his character. I'll put it like that, from Cobb County, Georgia.
Now, let me ask you this question here. The one-man gang became Akeem, and he became like the African Dream. And that was kind of a funny gimmick. When they kind of suggested that to you two, did you guys think that was funny, or did you think it was stupid, or what did you think of that?
Well, they didn't suggest it. I created it.
Really? Interesting.
Wow.
I went to Vince with that, and he loved it, and so we went with it.
Now, I got to tell you a story. A guy who works on our website, or used to work on our website, went to an ECW event that the One Man Gang did, probably in the late 90s. And he just made a cameo appearance, and after all the cameras were off and he was getting up and leaving the ring, the crowd, in unison, started singing Jive Soul Bro.
Uh-huh.
And he started doing the Akeem walk, and apparently it got the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah.
And I just thought that would be that was kind of a tribute to the fact that people really enjoyed the Akeem character.
Well, I tell you what, I was with One Man Gang back in October, and we talked a lot about old times and things of that nature. And he never mentioned that, but he has mentioned to me on several occasions how the people come up and ask him about me and ask him about our days. I'll tell you what happened with that gimmick that really messed up.
What's that?
For some reason, and I don't really know what it was, Vince chose to make that a heel gimmick. It was never designed to be a heel gimmick. It was actually designed to be a babyface gimmick, and because I wanted to go babyface, because in my ministry, I thought I could do better with my ministry if I went babyface. And when I say better, I mean by incorporating it into my job. And so that's what we were supposed to do. But for some reason, they turned Boss Man babyface and left us the heel. Well, it just didn't work out because it was actually a babyface gimmick. So, that's neither here nor there, but that's what happened.
Now, do you think that Akeem would have worked really well as a babyface?
Of course. Well, like you say now, it got the biggest pop for the night in this situation you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And what happened when we went out, the people always turned us babyface anyway.
And they started doing that, yeah.
I remember loving the theme song back in the day when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. And eventually when Akeem was gone, it did turn me babyface. So it's one of those things.
There's an interesting one. I'm not sure you had a heck of a lot to do with them, but you danced with them at WrestleMania, so you might have something to say about them. We're actually the official designers, my wife and I, more so my wife, I'll be honest with you, of the official website of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Do you have anything to say about Ricky?
Oh, Ricky's my buddy, man. I worked with Ricky for years, and Ricky was always a gentleman. People don't realize it, but you have some people that will actually try to take advantage of you, when you're out there at the ring working. And you have other guys who work, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And, Ricky was always a gentleman, never tried to hurt anybody, never tried to take advantage of you. And I always appreciated those type of guys because, as you know, when I was in the business, I was very small.
You were tall, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was tall, but I was very skinny.
Yeah. I remember, I think...
I weigh 300 pounds now, but...
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember once...
I was with Greg Valentine about 3 weeks ago, and he was like, man, we should be starting all over. We could be tag team partners.
That's excellent. I distinctly remember an incident where Hulk Hogan and you were left in the cage after a cage match with Big Boss Man, and you and Hogan was chasing you down. He had you in the corner, and I looked at you and I thought, oh my God, he's almost as tall as Hogan. So, yeah, I mean, you were tall, but yeah, you're right, you were skinny.
Well, you know, that's what led to the brought about the conclusion of my career.
What did?
They all they said I was too tall.
Oh, that's not.
They said I was taller than the guys I was managing, and made them look smaller. So that's why after several years, my contract wasn't renewed.
Oh, that's a shame.
They said I was too tall, and of course I don't really think that was so much advance. There were two guys there. One was Jay Strongbow, and the other was Blackjack Lanza. And Lanza really rooted against me. He kept bringing up about me being so tall. So, you know, one of those, he and I had a little misunderstanding before, and he held a grudge about it. So that's what happened with that.
Oh, well. Well, how about the guy I just mentioned? How about, for word associations, how about Hulk Hogan?
A great guy. Hulk Hogan is just a man among men, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And I used to tell Jimmy Hart, I just really envy you for having the opportunity to work with Hulk, you know, on a daily basis or consistent basis, because I would really enjoyed doing that. I remember once he hit me in the mouth, and you know, and when we were in the dressing room, he left his dressing room to come to make sure I was okay.
Oh boy!
And I thought, here's a man that's drawing all the money, you know, the whole company rests, you know, on him, and he leaves his dressing room to come make sure I'm okay, and that just said a lot about his character and integrity to me.
What do you think of all the stuff that he's facing these days?
I really hurt for him, because I know how much he loved Linda. I know how much he loved his kids, and always did. And I really hate to see the trouble that Nick got into, and I really hate to see, you know, the breakup of the family. And you can, whenever you see him, I saw him on Larry King not too long ago.
Yeah.
You can just see the hurt and pain on his face. And you know, I worked with Huck last year in '07 in April.
What were you? Was that at the that big show event?
Yeah, in Memphis.
Oh, excellent.
And so, you know, when we hadn't seen each other in over 10 years, and he came up to me and hugged me, you know, and it just brought back all memories, you know, because in my time with the WWF, you know, Hulk Hogan was a man.
Well, in my opinion, and on our website, he always will be. So, we actually had the opportunity to interview him probably about 3 years back, and that was a great treat for us. And possibly having him on again in the future. I am just a little concerned about having him on, though, because of all the hardships that he's facing. I don't want to make him mad. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you ask him, he'll tell you, you know, and if he agrees to come on, you know, he'll do what he's supposed to do now.
That's right.
You know, Huck's my guy, I'm just going to tell you. I would never have anything negative or derogatory to say about Hulk Hogan. As a matter of fact, it was Hulk Hogan that put the seal of approval on my being with the WWF. Vince was just a little leery, wasn't too sure about it, and he bought. You know, at that time, I was Central States area in Kansas City, working with my dad, Rufus R. Jones, and my brother Butch Reed. And now when I say my brother Butch Reed, I don't mean my biological brother, just my close brother. But Rufus R. Jones is my dad. And so I was managing Bulldog Bob Brown, and, you know, we were doing a lot of things and a lot of work. And they had a lot of tapes. And so Vince called Huck in to take a look at the tapes. And Huck really liked me. And he's the one that really just said to Vince, yeah, I think we can do something with this guy, you know.
Now, how about somebody that's of Hulk's caliber that people seem to have opinion one way or the other on? How about Macho Man Randy Savage?
Man, a great guy, great friend of mine. You know, I had so many guys that we worked against Macho Man. And Randy was always a great guy. You know, you knew you were going to have great matches, and, you know, Randy was going to put out every night 100%.
Now, not to get depressing with this one, but how about the lovely lady that used to accompany the meringue? How about Miss Elizabeth?
Well, you know, you never really got a chance to talk to Liz, but she was very sweet and kind, you know, whenever I did have a occasion to speak with her, yeah.
Hmm.
And the last name I have for word associations was your former boss, Vince McMahon.
Hey, man, Vince McMahon made me a he gave me a career. He put me on center stage. He put me working with the elite group. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just young and up and coming, and nobody had really ever heard of me. And he took a chance on me, and I have nothing but great things to say about Vince McMahon.
Excellent. Let me ask you this. This is our final question. Well, probably two more questions.
Let me say something else about Vince,
Sure.
Vince McMahon, too.
Sure.
People don't really realize the enormous pressure that Vince McMahon is under, and how many people he's responsible for feeding and for taking care of. And there are just so many things that happens that Vince does that people don't know anything about. Like when a guy gets hurt or sick. You know, when I was with the WWF, I was sick for a while. And I had a lot of time off. And he really took care of me. He paid me, you know what I'm saying, even not performing, not being able to honor my contract. And it's just some of the things like that, you know, the people just don't understand about Vince. That's why when you asked me a few minutes ago, did I think Vince was being racist? No, I don't think he was being racist. I just think he did what he knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you think he still... I think he still is doing that, but I think a lot of people don't realize that Vince McMahon's job does not end when the TV show ends. Vince McMahon, he's 24/7.
I don't think he ever gets any sleep. I don't see how he hadn't broken down, really.
I guess he's just a workaholic. He must love it.
Yeah, perhaps.
All right, let me ask you this, two last questions for you. Now, you're obviously an outspoken guy, and you're well-spoken, and it seemed like the media a few years ago, after the whole Chris Benoit thing came out, seemed like they were looking for anybody to come on the air from professional wrestling to trash it. And it seemed to me like the wrestling business was basically the topic of the day to be just run into the ground. As a former performer in professional wrestling, what did you think of the way that the media treated professional wrestling in those days following the Chris Benoit tragedy?
I think they were very negative. I think they were opportunists. You know, you got to understand about the media, too. And, you know, now let me say this, and please don't misunderstand or misconstrue what I'm saying.
Sure.
While I do not condone many of the acts and the opportunistic avenues that the media takes, I understand it. Now, I don't condone it,
right,
but I understand it. You know, that's how they make their living, you know, and they make their living setting the news.
Yep.
And they sometimes have a reckless disregard for people's private lives and for people's pain, emotional pain, mental anguish. But it's what they have to do to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
So while I certainly don't condone it, I understand it. And I think the thing with the Benoit situation, it was news, it was tragic, it was something everybody wanted to tune in to and get as much information. Now, here's the thing. People were really, really outraged by the death of the little boy, Benoit's son.
Yes, sir.
You know, and while I would think that the media would have backed off and not taken advantage of the death of a 7-year-old kid, and the loss of a mother and a son, and just say, well, you know, we're going to respect the Benoit family, the man's parents, and other children or whatever. You do have to kind of say, well, you know, that's their job, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But it's a job I wouldn't want. I'll put it like that.
Exactly. And when it comes to the media, I always say they never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right, man. Exactly. You know, I remember Inside Edition called, and they wanted to do a story on me. Even they went so far, a mini documentary. And
Oh, wow.
I never forget talking to. Well, I better not say who I talked to, but anyway, I talked to a confidant, and it said to me, "Listen, man, I want to tell you, that type of situation is not really what they are leading to believe. They are really going to trash you. They're like a tabloid, you know, and don't do it." And so I kind of stayed away from that, and I'm glad I did, because I found out later that's exactly what they wanted to do.
Were they going to do something similar to what they did with, I think Billy Jack Haynes did something where he was really outspoken. But then again, I think he might have meant to be outspoken. I'm not sure. Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with that case.
Yeah, that was the Hogan steroid thing and McMahon, and yeah, he just came out and basically just lambasted them. Yeah, oh well. What are you going to do? So let me ask you this. What does the future hold for the Doctor of Style Slick? And Ken Johnson, if I can be so bold.
Well, I think the Doctor of Style Slick will make public appearances, do independent shows. From time to time, I'm asked to come and do legend shows and to come to do autograph signings and things of that nature. And I pretty much think that's just about the gist of what the Doctor of Style is going to be doing. I don't foresee a return to the WWE. As a matter of fact, when Benoit committed that situation, I was there to do a taping of Raw.
Really?
And yes, and Vince McMahon looked at me and called me Andre the Giant, and so I knew by that that was his way of saying he thought I was. If he thought I was too tall before, he certainly was. By me having gained so much weight, he certainly was turned off. So I don't think we'll ever see a return to Dr. Style unless another major promotion comes along.
What did you think of, what were you doing backstage there? Were they going to bring it back for a character, or was you just checking things out back there, or what?
Well, you know, that's when Vince was supposed to have been blown up in the limo, and I was doing a Reverend Slick deal where I was giving a eulogy for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
But that never aired.
Yeah. Oh, well.
That was a show in Crawford that was canceled that night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was an emotional night for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, sir, I got to tell you, it was really nice talking to you. I didn't know what to expect talking to you. I didn't know if I was going to get the Reverend or the Doctor of Style or what I was going to get, but I really got to meet a really cool guy. And I really do appreciate you coming on and doing this interview. I really do appreciate it. And I'm sure I speak for Patrick when I say anytime you want to come on, if you ever write a book or anything, come on the show and promote it because we'd love to help you out.
Oh, absolutely.
Let me express my appreciation to you for thinking enough of my career and having me in your hearts. It has been my pleasure, and I've enjoyed it immensely.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome. Thanks.
And stay tuned for more from the interactive interview just after this. All right, sir, can I ask you for one small last little favor? You can reject this if you don't want to do it. Would you mind giving us basically a liner saying, well, let me ask you, do you own Slick or is that Vince's deal?
I own Slick, yeah.
Oh, you own Slick. Would you be willing to give us a liner basically saying this is the Dr. Style Slick and you're listening to the interactive interview?
Okay.
Excellent. We'd love to have that. That'd be something that we could use a lot.
All right.
Alrighty, and I'll count you down to do that, and that'll be in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, what's up, my friends and neighbors? This is the Dr. Style Slick, and you're listening to the interactive interview. Yeah.